This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope you're all awake wherever you are in the world. And of course, you're jumping on our live safari. It is great to have you here. BK and I, yes, BK's on camera. And I'm Lauren. We're currently just watching the sunrise over quarantine. Just waiting for it to get a little bit lighter. And then, of course, we can actually see what's going on around us. Isn't it just beautiful? Pinks, yellows, oranges, blues. I don't see purple, but we'll just pretend there's a little bit of purple there too. So we have families from all around the world joining us today. So welcome on board, especially kids from the USA, India and Italy. Yes, it's great to have you here. Now, I'm sure you can tell by my attire, but it's a very, very chilly morning. 15 degrees Celsius and 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're all wrapped up nice and warm on this vehicle. And we've just done one loop around quarantine. And the plan is to continue looping around until, well, we find some animals for you all. Now, of course, this is live and interactive, which means you can talk to us. The email address is going to pop up, kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Please do send in your lovely, lovely questions, and you're welcome to send in some comments too. Hopefully, we'll be able to answer all your questions and respond to you. This is just so magical. BK, are you ready to bumble? Yes, BK's ready to bumble. So let's do this. Sometimes it's worth waiting until a light appears on quarantine, because that's when animals start to move. Wild dogs were heard last night, and sometimes they arrive on this very patch, quarantine. So as I bumble forward, no plan today, just hoping to see what I see. We're going to send you across to James, who wants to say good morning.
Good morning, hello, welcome, especially to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day to those of you who are mothers, those of you who are prospective mothers, etc., etc. I hope that you're all having a good day. My name is James Henry, on camera is David today, and we are staring about in the darkness of the dawn at the moment. The only thing I've smelt so far is what smelt like human deodorant down in one of the drainage lines. I'm hoping that it floated up into my nose from the lodge, as opposed to from a human being that is now living out here. I'm pretty sure it did. It was right next to the lodge. It was just a slightly disconcerting smell. All the mothers are now thanking me for my kind wishes. No, thank you for raising us to the fine human beings that we are. Remember, children, you may talk to us using the email address kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Remember also that today is your mummy's day, and you must be very nice to your mummy. Do everything that she says you must. Lavish her with sweet gifts. Make sure that you tidy up your room and don't leave it in the abominable state that you normally do. Perhaps offer to cook for her, although in some cases that might result in a poisoning, given the skills of some children at cooking. Certainly in my case it would have. I don't have a specific plan this morning other than to go out basically to the east and as normal hope to find Thandi and her cubs. But as of yesterday, Thandi was still on Torchwood, which is the reserve east of us. We'll knock about here for a little while until it's nice and bright, and then move a bit further afield. We're quite close to camp still. And it's a pretty chilly morning. You'll notice that I'm wearing a beanie for the first time this year. Yes. Very good point, Carol. If your kids started making their beds and cooking for you, you'd wonder what they were up to. Well, maybe just today there will be no motivation or no motive other than being kind to their mummies and gratitude for all the things you've given them, for begetting them and bringing them into this world. James Richard, well, I'm hoping we have a leopard mother on today's drive as well. That would be great. I'll drive past all the dozens of male leopards that I'm definitely going to see today. I'll just spurn them, press on to find a leopard mother. Imagine that. Tundi, the leopardess, and cubs on Mother's Day. Gosh, I'd be flavour of the month. Certainly flavour of the day. As for Tundi. In fact, Tundi would be flavour of the day. Across now to andBeyond Ngala, where Sean is driving up and down at Ngala with his friend Marcel.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to andBeyond Ngala on this very special Mother's Day. Here with myself, Sean, and we got myself behind the camera still. It's a little bit cold here, a little bit chilly, but we've just stopped here, so we are looking for the lions. So I know Rowan did find them yesterday, and apparently the young male was there, which is really, really awesome, really exciting. I'm glad to see that he's still up and he's still around. I am going to look for him this morning again. I never saw him, so I want to have a look. I want to see how he's doing, how he's coping. And we're hoping that they were hunting last night. Conditions were pretty good in terms of the light and good conditions for the lions to hunt in. We have seen some vultures a bit further back down behind us, but it was a bit too dark. We didn't hear anything, so we didn't investigate. We're waiting for that sun to come up, lighten everything up, and then we're going to head to those vultures and investigate. Right now, though, we have seen some tracks on the ground here. Looks like the lions did come through this way, heading further to our right. Looks like there might also be tracks of a leopard on the road. I'll have a quick look. You can see it's very cold here. I got my blanket on just to keep me nice and warm, because as you're driving, the wind is very, very cold. But I am going to spend some time here looking at some tracks. So while I do that, hopefully find the lions, we're going to send you back across to James. He's got a heron.
We've got a grey heron, yes. There it is, sitting on the end of a stick. And it is gazing into the eastern sky, looking forward to a pleasant and relaxed Sunday. Which is, of course, what all of us hope for today. We're hearing drongos, Cape turtle doves. Franklins, spurfowl. But not much by way of predator. Impalas. But otherwise all is very quiet and very peaceful and very sort of expectant, I suppose. Right, Lauren has managed to find the moon. Let's go and see what it looks like this morning.
It's not easy to find a moon, you know. BK and I have done a very good job at spotting it. It's 90% full. And it's in its waning gibbous phase. Now what waning means is that it's getting smaller. So we use the word waning when it's been full and it's slowly heading towards new moon, which is nothing. The opposite term, when it's been new moon and it starts getting bigger to eventually go to full moon, is waxing. So now it's in its waning phase. It's been full moon and it's slowly going to get smaller and smaller. Isn't that beautiful? It's providing a lot of light at nighttime. So both predators and prey will use that when hunting or escaping being hunted. Many of you are saying, wow, yes, it's incredible. I don't know if any of you watched Wallace and Gromit, but those that did will know that you can eat the moon. It's made of cheese. It may be too old for some of you, but I used to watch Wallace and Gromit and I was always convinced as a child that the moon was made of cheese. Everyone, the moon is not made of cheese. Please do not try to go there to eat it. You should just go to your supermarket. They will have a much better selection of cheese. Kirsten's dreams are now ruined. Now there's a herd of impala here that I originally stopped for. We should always watch the impala. Why? Well, they will give the game away. If there's predators around, they will be alert. They will also call out, pa, pa, pa. They will make a snorting sound that I can't do and you don't want me to do, especially when I've got a runny nose, if a lion or a leopard are around. So they're very on edge. They're not snorting, but what you're about to see is this herd of females have all got their head up. I can't see any in the... They're very nervous. They're very jumpy. They're not alarming, but they're not comfortable. And I wonder if a predator has walked by at some point and have left them feeling this way, or if they can hear something that we cannot. If wild dogs were around, they would be running. Impala alarm call for predators, but they don't alarm call for wild dogs. There's no time. Wild dogs run so fast that the impala just run. Now, they've put all their heads back down again, so what that means is that they're relaxed. They'll always have one on the lookout. Yeah, see, that one in the front's looking out now. They take it in turns. Some will feed, some will look out. When those put their head back down again, those that are feeding will pop their heads back up. It's a system. It's a security system, actually, and it's free. You don't have to pay a lot of money for it. Everybody just takes a turn at looking out, using their ears, their eyes, and their nostrils. They could just be alert because it's that transition period between night and day. Anvid, you're 11 years old from India and you're asking about eland. Unfortunately, we don't have any on this reserve. They are the biggest of the antelopes. I'm just going to get one up in my book. So for those that don't know what I'm talking about, you can see. They're the biggest of the antelope found within this area. But we don't actually get them here, I'm afraid. I spent some time with them in the Masai Mara. And they are huge. So they're the largest antelope in the low veld, but we don't get them in this particular area of Djuma, the northern sector of the Sabi Sands. Okay. BK is very, very fast. He didn't even give me any time to find my porky pointer. Okay, now we're ready. This is an eland. And I always describe it, it is an antelope, but I always describe it as a cow mixed with a camel mixed with a kudu. That's what I think it looks like. And it's actually a Dutch word. Eland comes from the Dutch. You can see that here. It tells you that. And it means elk. There we go. So if you just take a look at its face, it's got a very sort of antelope-looking face. It's also got horns, but just the sheer size of the body is massive. And the bulls even have a sort of blue-grey colour. So that's how I would describe that colour. So sorry, we don't get them here, I'm afraid, but they are found in the low veld, and they're the largest in the low veld. The largest that we probably find here. I'm not entirely sure. Kudu bulls are big. Wildebeest also get very, very big. The impala that you're looking at are medium size. That's why they make the perfect snack for leopards and wild dogs. Yeah, they're very relaxed now. Just pay attention to impala herds. I've found a lot of predators from just stopping and looking at impalas. Shimne, you're 8 years old from India. Oh, you're asking a very difficult question. I do not know. It's impossible to count. There's so many here. You're welcome to try and count for me if you like, but I don't think I can manage it. Impalas stick together for that reason, protection. And it's not completely altruistic. It's not because they're looking out for one another. It's because they're looking out for themselves. The more impala there are in a herd, the less likely the predator is going to choose you. It's quite a selfish technique. You can rely on others for looking and smelling and hearing. So the herds can go very, very big. The herds we have on quarantine, I think, sometimes can push up to 100. I really do. And I think it's mixed herds. I think it's lots of impalas just coming together for safety. It benefits them. If there's 10 of you, then you have 1 in 10 chance of being plucked off by a predator. If there's 100 of you, then you have 1 in 100 chance of being plucked off by a predator. So the average number, I really don't know. I think the average number will probably come in at around 20 to 30. But in this area, impala are very numerous and very common. And the herds get really, really big on quarantine. They're very relaxed now, I think, which means we are going to keep bumbling, as there doesn't appear to be a predator in this area. Okay, I'm going to go on one of my favourite roads and look for any tracks and signs of predator. You guys are going to go across to James and see what his plans are now.
I'm going down Twin Dams Road, which is the road that goes pretty much down the centre of Djuma all the way to the southern boundary. I am now looking at tracks of hyenas. I tell you what, we cast aspersions on the hyenas when they are lying around at the den doing nothing at all. But they are very busy at night, and it does surprise me that they are sleepy come daytime. Every single morning we go out here, their tracks litter the reserve. They have run all over the place. Yesterday they had a great fight, I think, with some wild dogs in various places. So when we see the hyenas sleeping and I cast aspersions on their motivations for life, admonish me. Hello, George. Yes, we have seen 1 or 2 big tuskers on Djuma, but nothing absolutely enormous, no. Sometimes the big tuskers come through here, sometimes the big bulls come through. And for those of you who are wondering what George is talking about, the Kruger used to be renowned for, I think they called them the Magnificent Seven. There were 7 massive bull elephants that had tusks that almost reached the ground. And we haven't had any of those, but we've had a few kind of semi-big tuskers that have come through here. And if you're wondering why so few, well, ask them trophy hunters why there's so few elephant bulls around here with big tusks. The genetics for big tusks, I'm afraid, have been shot out largely at the end of the 19th century. That's when most of the destruction of the elephants took place, and apparently there used to be a far greater number of elephants with big tusks in the area, but the genetics for those big tuskers were obliterated by the need for ivory. Depressing thought for a Sunday morning. Start to get me riled up and I'll start pontificating from a soapbox, which is not a good idea. We haven't found anything of great import mammal or bird-wise just yet. And we're heading down towards the coldest part of Djuma, and that is the southern boundary on the banks of the great Ngala River. It really has become winter suddenly. And for those of you who haven't watched throughout a season before, it'll be chilly-ish like this. It'll get a bit colder than this, probably drop another 4 degrees during the course of our winter. Not much more than that. And it'll be cold until, you know, it sometimes starts to warm up even towards the end of July. August can be a bit of both. Some really hot days and some pretty cold days. And by September, we're into suicide months. It's really hot. Let's see what's through here. Sometimes I feel like I'm on a roller coaster ride in this vehicle where it swings and flings itself around these roads on its own. Okay, let's go back to Sean. He's looking for his lions. I don't know if he's had any success yet, but I'm sure he will tell us eloquently.
Oh, I haven't seen them in so long. They look weird. And we're back. So I'm not sure what James was talking about in terms of, you know, it gets cold. It's cold already, James. It is very cold already. I mean, I have the heater on. That's why my hands are positioned like this. That's where the vent blows. And I just drive from here. And now we are in the river. This is where the lion tracks are heading. They actually come back behind us, and then they seem to go off to the right. But what are we doing, though? Because we came from there. So we're going this way. And then we're going to pop up onto the road that covers our right-hand side and drive along there. That's where these tracks of the lions go. But what it means, though, now how much you remember from school-time geography, cold air sinks. And it drops down into the lowest place, which is obviously the river, making the river one of the coldest places in the reserve at the moment. And we decided to drive in it. It's wonderful. But I'm very interested to find these lions. You know, I want to see how this male is getting on with the rest of the pride, you know, with the females, his mother, his aunt, things like that. I was talking to Rowan, and he was telling me that, you know, they were sort of snarling at him and just being a little bit off, which does make sense. I mean, he is old, he should have left the pride already, so it does all make sense. So it does make sense, but it's still heartbreaking. Manand from India, who's 15. Good morning, Manand. I'm looking for the Birmingham Pride. Yeah, the Birmingham Pride. So that's the one with the young injured male and the 2 white lions. The ones that Rowan, I'm not sure if you watched yesterday, Manand, but they're the ones that Rowan had. Because also now, it's been a while since they've been moving into this more central part of andBeyond Ngala, which is strange. You know, normally they're here all the time. This is sort of where they live. So to have them being out in the east, which is behind us for so long, it's a little bit weird. So it's nice to see them back here moving into the middle of their territory. It also makes it slightly easier for us. You'll see now, just around the bend is the andBeyond Ngala tented camp. So, you know, very, very close to home. And we were joking that we're going to find them right outside the camp, which we have done before. Just not in a long time. But, you know, we did also see tracks of the leopard. So depending on how our morning goes, we do have some options in terms of animals. We got one tracking team heading out, going to go have a look for the pack. You know, so there's lots of potential for today. There's lots of potential. Could be a very exciting day. And it feels good. It's warming up slightly. Sun's coming. No clouds, no mist, no dew. So I'm feeling pretty positive. Pretty positive. And it's Mother's Day, you know, which just makes it even better. makes it even better. But it will be interesting to see what is happening. Shiver from New York. Hello Shiver, you're 5 years old. And no, Shiver, I'm not too scared that the animals are going to attack us while we are driving. Right at the beginning, when I first started this job, when I first started guiding, you had a couple moments where you get a little bit nervous. You're like, whoo, that's close. But now, no, you know, because we trained. We understand the animals, their behavior. So we can look at the lion and be like, the lion's very happy. Or the elephant, even the impala, be like, oh, look, they're very relaxed. They're not going to attack us. So it's not too scary. I'm more worried about myself sitting behind me. I try to tickle my neck or something weird like that. That's more of my fear. But you see now, as we go around this corner, you will see one of the tents. So just over there, that's a tent. There it is. And that is the andBeyond Ngala tent camp. That's where myself currently, Rowan, this is where we all live. That's where we stay, not in that specific tent. That's for guests. But that is the area. So I just want to have a quick look in the river, but we're actually going to turn up the road off to the right. But just to make sure the lions are not there, because sometimes they come to the lodge for water. They can get water from the swimming pool. But it doesn't look like there's anything there. So I'm going to stick to my plan, drive up the bank. While we do that, sounds like Lauren is looking at the sunrise.
I am on fire today. I found the moon, and now I found the sun. Yes, the center of our solar system, the sun. But it's so beautiful. This is actually one of the best roads. I'm on Zoe's, and it's the best roads to see the most magnificent sunrise. You can see it coming up over the plains. There's lots of mist. The mist is rising, slowly disappearing. Isn't it just beautiful, everyone? Sorry, that was a little sneeze. I did not mean to sneeze. It's essentially a big ball of gas in the sky that we need. We can't live without the sun. And many of the animals out here, from birds to reptiles to even your mammals, go by the sun. And you'll find you won't really start to hear the bird calls until that sun is visible. You also have animals like dwarf mongoose, who will not wake up until the sun is fully up. They're very lazy. And then of course you have animals like us, who wake up long before the sun is about to appear. Lots of crowds. It's a very dramatic sky. Ariel, you are asking, do we ever see animals fighting each other for food? Yes, we do. Animals will fight for two reasons: food, territory, and females. Males will fight very often over females. So you will find, we see elephants fighting a lot, but that's not really over food, because food is plentiful for elephants. That's mostly because they're being very boisterous or over females. But we see hyenas and leopards fighting a lot, because hyenas are always trying to scavenge from the leopards. The leopards made the kill, and it's theirs. They put the energy in, they made the kill, and they probably try to hoist it. Hyenas will always come to try and steal it. Leopards do steal from hyenas too, but normally it's the other way around. And we see impalas fighting a lot at the moment. They're clashing and locking horns and fighting. But again, that's not over food. That's over females and territory. Food is plentiful for impalas too. So over food, it would probably be your predators. Your predators live a more feast and famine lifestyle. So for the antelopes, the leaves are on the trees, the grass is long, and elephants, it's available. But for your predators, they have to hunt, and it takes a lot to do that. For leopards, only 16% of their hunts are successful in this area. So that means all the remainder hunts are a fail. So once they get it, it's taken a lot of work to actually get that food, and therefore it's theirs, they want to keep it. But all the predators will scavenge off one another. They're all opportunistic, especially in this area. So yes, we do see animals fight for food. We've also watched a big male lion steal off a hyena, off the old matriarch. So yes, they will all fight. But for your antelopes, they more fight over territory and females. You can see the golden glow from the sun is being cast over the land here. It's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to keep heading south, see what I can see, but let's send you guys back across to James and see what he can see.
We can see a reflection of the sky in the water, and shortly there will be the revelation of a new resident here at Twin Dams. Unless he is the free-diving champion of the hippopotamus world, which it is clear he might be. I promise you there's a hippo in here. We've got our little grebes. I don't think these guys managed to make a bebe this year. One's a juvenile. Maybe that's why. Well, Hannah, it's a good question coming from Singapore, because obviously it hardly gets cold there at all, does it? Here in Africa, or in this part of Africa where it doesn't get very cold, most mammals just get a slightly longer coat, so their hair just gets a little bit longer, and that helps them to stay warm. With the birds, their feathers are really good at keeping them warm, and all they do is puff their feathers out, and that helps them to stay warm. The hippo, which is under the water here, hopefully will reveal itself sometime quickly, has got a big fat layer of fat on it. And so a thick layer of fat covers its body, and that keeps it nice and warm. Then in some parts of the world, animals will seek shelter, like in the snowy parts of North America. A bear will go and find a cave to sleep in, so that it's out of the wind and the worst of the cold. Some animals, like the reptiles here, will find a termite mound to go and lie in, and they will just get cold, but it doesn't really matter to them. There's our hippo. He held his breath for a very long time there. So there are lots of different ways, Hannah, that animals cope with the cold. And some can't cope with the cold and they just move. But Hannah, it never really gets very cold here. No, Yona, I haven't ever been sprayed by a polecat. Nothing smelly has ever sprayed me here and covered me in stinky gunk. Thankfully. Let's all count together. I'm on 10 so far. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, We're doing this to hopefully count how long, or see how long it takes for the hippo to come out. Alright, I got to about 20 when I started a proper stopwatch. So let's see how long he takes to come out. So as you'll read that they can spend up to 8 minutes under the water. I've never seen that before. I think the longest I've seen is about 2.5. This guy's done 40 seconds so far. I think he probably did about 2 minutes last time, maybe 3. Lovely sounds there of the doves and in the background. Is the black-crowned chagra. Oh, he's on 1 minute and 20 seconds now. And all around him we've got little terrapins floating about. I imagine it must be very cold for the terrapins, which are reptiles, and they will struggle to cope with extreme cold. So Mars, it wasn't hard. There we go. He made exactly 2 minutes. So Mars, when we were here, that's what he was looking like. You say he was out of the water as we arrived. And that's how I knew he was here. It wasn't very difficult. That was a fun little experiment. Let's carry on. I'm not sure that it's going to rival some of the great experiments like those that gave us the Higgs boson, for example, but it was interesting nevertheless. Let's go to Lauren. She's got another animal for you.
I have a beautiful female giraffe who is thoroughly enjoying snacking on all her delicious breakfast over there. There's actually another giraffe in the distance. Can't quite see it from where we've positioned the car, but she's not on her own, this one. Beautiful female. You see how she's bending down to get food? Giraffes very often bend down to get food. They don't just eat the leaves that are very high up on the trees. We're also surrounded by such beautiful bird calls. The hornbills are waking up. I think we have a woodpecker. There's a chin spot batis. Cape turtle dove. There's a starling screeching somewhere. Oh, Rian, you're from India and you have asked a fantastic question. A very good question, actually. Why do we get so excited to see carnivores rather than herbivores? It's very naughty, isn't it? You know, I personally get excited at all animals. I love butterflies, I love moths. I get very excited when I see unique types of grasshoppers. I love birds, especially when the bird does not fly away before Kirsten says live, live. I love it. Herbivores are more plentiful. Impala are everywhere. They're gorgeous and I love them, but they're everywhere. So the hierarchy of predator to prey sort of works in a triangle, if you want to think of it like that. So maybe BK, I can show you here on my hands. I got a little bit of peanut butter on the car, how naughty. I love how Sean has a heater. I luckily have a hole in my door, so I have air conditioning. So if you think of a triangle, okay, can you see that? Right at the top will be your predators. My cap is in the way. And there's not many of them. They're the apex predators, so they're right at the top of the pinnacle. And as you start to go down throughout the triangle, you will see that it becomes more room. There's room for more animals, and that's where your herbivores will be, because they are the prey. So at the top, there's not many predators. They are the ones that control the population of all the other species below them. But here, at the rest of the triangle, it gets more and more and more and more, right down to the very bottom, which would be your grass. Predators at the top, they're not that numerous, and they control all the populations down below them. Triangles are a really good shape to actually sort of describe this. And I think we get excited to see the predators. I didn't see that one, BK. Because A, there's not many of them. B, we know them all. We actually have personal relationships with the predators because you can identify them. Now, when it comes to giraffes and impala and kudu, we can identify individuals. And if we can, then yes, we can name them and we get to know them. But you can't name an animal until you can prove that it's an exact individual. And there's so many impalas. And that's the reason predators hunt prey, to keep populations in check. That's the reason we have ticks out here, to spread disease, and disease is a natural way of keeping populations in check. That's why humans should not intervene in natural ecosystems. If we do intervene, we throw everything out of balance. Nature has its own way to keep everything in check. Now, of course, if we see an animal with an injury that's been caused by a human, for example, maybe a snare, or maybe being hit by a car, then we would intervene because it's happened because of a human. It wouldn't have happened otherwise. But when disease runs through an ecosystem, it's very, very hard to watch. It's very, very hard to stand by, but it is also nature's way of keeping things in check. Predators hunt prey to keep the populations in balance. Everything has a reason. Everything has a place. So going back to your question, I think we get excited to see carnivores because we don't see them that often. Sometimes we find leopards, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we find lions, sometimes we don't. So I think that's why we get excited. And we also know them all. I can identify a leopard within seconds, whereas this gorgeous giraffe, I'm not able to identify that individual. I just saw a shadow moving. I think there's another giraffe walking, but I can't see it. Gemma, you're asking about giraffes sleeping. They're actually said to be one of the most sleepless mammals, only sleeping between about 4.5 to 6 hours per night. They don't sleep a lot. They're always moving. They can rest standing up. They go into a sort of state of rest. They're able to close their eyes, maybe perch their bottom up against a tree and rest. But they can sleep. They can bend their knees and sort of sit down, and then they'll curl their neck around their body. It's actually very sweet and interesting to watch because they've got to be careful that they don't keel over on their side like we do, go into a deep sleep, and then they might not be able to get back up again. They definitely wouldn't be able to get up quick enough if a predator was coming. They've got a unique way of sleeping, and they curl their neck on top and around their body. But they can also rest standing up. Elephants are the same because they've got such big bodies, they don't have to be on the ground in order to sleep. But giraffes are said to really not sleep that much at all. Aiden, you're 8 years old from Joburg. What a fantastic question. You're asking about the ossicons. The ossicons are the two horny things on top of a giraffe's head. BK, you have a spider. It's not working, but there's a spider there. And the ossicons, the calves are born with them, but they're made from cartilage at this point. So they're very, very soft and flexible, and they're not firmly attached. So what that means is when they're born, the ossicons are actually flat against the head, completely flat, and this is so that the mother is not injured during the birthing process. And then when the when the calf gets older, the cartilage turns to bone, and they spring back up again. And this is how they develop like they are now. So very good question, Aiden. They do have them when they're born, but they're different. They're made from a different material and in a different position. Sorry, Kirst, I didn't get that. Can you just repeat what you said? Oh my goodness, Kirstish just told me that it's 45 minutes up already. I cannot believe it. This drive has flown by. Ah, I see the other giraffe that was casting the shadow. I saw a shadow move, but I didn't realize where it was coming from. So unfortunately, 45 minutes is up, everyone. We are now going to open the drive to everybody. Everyone can ask questions and we will answer them. But kids, thank you so far, and please don't stop asking questions. Keep sending them in. We will answer them from everybody now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can count 5 giraffes here. Lots of females, but I bet you there's a male around. I bet you there's a big, dark male somewhere with these bald ossicones. Isn't this lovely? There's another one coming. Now, giraffes look big when you first look at them, but actually females are quite a bit smaller than males. And when you see them next to each other, you really can see the size difference. But when you just see them like this, they look big. Oh, what a lovely morning. Lots of giraffes just watching us. Good morning, guys. So as I enjoy my tower of giraffes, we are going to send you back across to James for an update.
We are heading east now. We found 2 sets of tracks. One male leopard, freshish. One female, not so freshish. I think the female was the same one I was following yesterday evening. And the male, quite possibly more whitey. They both crossed south, down out of the reserve. So now I am sad. And we'll move out of that area and into another area. And see if we can find more. Hopefully not just tracks, but this time an actual animal. At least we've had one hippopotamus to show for our efforts this morning. Now the sun is on our faces, it having finally woken. Hello, Jared, aged 9 in Johannesburg. Wanting to know if I would ever do Naked and Afraid in the Bush. I'm assuming that this is some kind of reality television show, is it? No, I wouldn't. I don't want to be naked in the bush. I don't want to be naked out here. I don't think that sounds like fun at all. I think it sounds like, you know, I mean, I've walked around with bare feet in this area before, and I got to tell you, there are a lot of thorns and things around, and being naked with the more sensitive parts of my body than the soles of my feet exposed to grass seeds and thorns, I think would be unpleasant in the extreme. I'm not sure that I'd be very afraid out here, because I'm lucky that I've spent a lot of time here. And so I would just be naked and in pain. I think I'd just be naked and in pain. I must confess, the premise of Naked and Afraid in the Bush, just, it speaks to, to me it speaks to the depths to which our culture has sunk. Naked and afraid in the bush. Anyway, Jared? No, not for me. Oh. Apparently you also have to hunt for yourself. Well, no, that would be interesting. I'm just not sure why you have to do it naked, though. Maybe it's quite a compelling show. I've never watched it. I suppose hunting, I've got to tell you, I think finding food for yourself out here, if you weren't really clued up, would be very difficult. Because there is not a lot out here, unless you know what kind of tubers you can eat, and unless you can catch birds and things like that to eat. If you can hunt, you could survive relatively easily. But if you can't hunt, them vegans would struggle to survive out here. Thank you, Lioness. You'd rather see me on Saturday Night Live than you would on Naked and Afraid. I think I'd rather be on Saturday Night Live than Naked and Afraid. I think it would do a lot more for my career. Some buffalo tracks going down into Chitwa. Let's go along there. Let's go to Sean and find out if he would like to be in Naked and Afraid, and whether he thinks he could survive out here without hunting.
James has high hopes to be on Saturday Night Live. Would be cool though. I'd also prefer that to Naked and Afraid. I don't want to do Naked and Afraid. I've seen the ticks and stuff that walk around and grow in here. I am perfectly fine, thank you. I'll stay in the car with my clothes on and my blanket. So, one update from our side. We drove on the bank on the other side of the river and we did not find any signs of the lions coming up that side. So, it's good in a way. We now... So James Henry wants to know if I can hunt in the bush. James, I doubt today. I would probably starve. I need termites. Mainly because my tree knowledge is probably not too good. If I was eating too many berries, might die and eat a poisonous one. Naked and Afraid, I would most likely just be afraid, eh? Most likely, yeah, I'm naked, but mainly afraid. Unfortunately. But, it's worth a try. But back to these lions. So, as I was saying, we've narrowed down a direction. We know they didn't go that way. So, anywhere on the side is a good start. So, we're going to head towards that vulture activity that I told you about. So, a little bit further down this road. Because now that it's getting hotter, we'll be able to see, firstly, if the vultures were just sleeping. Because sometimes when it's really, really cold, the vultures, they all just sort of roost on the trees. So it'll be interesting to see now if they're taking off and they're flying around, then we know, okay, they were just roosting there for the night. There weren't actually any food there. If they're still there, with the sun coming up like this, then we would actually go in and investigate, do a little bit of a walk and see exactly what we can find. But you can still see, as I turn this corner, if you look on your screens, look at all of the mist that is just hanging down there. There we go. In those low-lying areas. That's down here. The river, it's a low section of the reserve. We were saying earlier how the cold air sinks. And that's what has caused that mist to settle down there. It is really, really beautiful. To see it like that. And that's the thing, it doesn't happen every morning. Only certain mornings will you get a mist layer like that, and then if you drive in the right parts of the reserve, you can see it. You drive higher and you look down. A local question from Johannesburg, from 10-year-old Nicholas. Nicholas, I think, he asked a very pertinent Mother's Day question. I think the most protective mother, in general, besides mine, would be a elephant's mother. Elephant moms are very protective over their calves. Pretty much the whole herd is very protective over their calves. Obviously all predators will protect their babies, but, there are times where the mothers of the lion cubs do have to go out, be it lion, leopard, hyena. They sort of leave the cubs alone. Where elephants, they will stay with their calves all the time, 24 hours a day, for a number of years. So they are very, very protective. So I'd say elephants, for me, as far as I know, would be the most protective, Nicholas. And the elephants, actually, if you want to come back as an animal and live a relatively comfortable life, I'd say you either want to be a hippo or an elephant. Lions, everyone's like, oh, king of the bush. Not really, hey? Not really. I mean, look at this young male that we all like so much. You know, he's in a difficult time. And all males go through that when they're growing up. Females a little bit easier, but you still got to hunt, you got to look after cubs. Yeah, there we go. FC also wanting to be elephants. Everybody wants to be an elephant. If you like water animals, maybe an orca whale, that would be pretty cool as well. That would be pretty cool. But we just passed the Teja Camp. That's the entrance, the guest entrance to the Teja Camp, which we saw from the river. So you can see we're driving around pretty much the same area. This is where the tracks are going. This is where the tracks are heading. As I said to you, sometimes they come to the lodge for water. And the vulture activity just on the other side of the mist. So it is all looking quite promising. The fact that the tracks are going that way and they're there it is looking good. I'm feeling optimistic. So while I carry on feeling optimistic and you cross your fingers that we're going to find them, we will send you back to Mr. Naked and Afraid, and he's at a waterhole.
Apparently Judy H says that I should be in a spin-off show called Fully Clothed and Annoyed, which I think is an excellent, excellent idea. We've got a lovely hippo sighting coming up, I hope. Oh, don't have a panic attack, guys. I was kind of hoping to backlight them, but I don't think it's going to be possible. We'll stop here. Is that alright, David? I was hoping to get this spoom. There's a lot of mist floating across the water today, but it's much better seen when the light's behind it, but then we can't see the hippos. They're all very suspicious of us. I guess their lives must be much quieter than they are normally, because they live at a lodge, basically. And there's been no one in this lodge for the last 6 weeks. Which is, of course, tremendously difficult for the lodge. No, everybody, I'm not going to play Survivor either. That show to me is, I mean, I know it's hugely successful, but the thought of trying to be politically manipulative for that length of time is too appalling to me. I'd be voted out in the first week. Absolutely no question that I'd be voted out in the first week. No ways I'd be able to contain myself for long enough. Piss everyone off and... Oh, did I say that word? Sorry. I'd really irritate everybody in about 10 minutes. No, survival would be a disaster. Tia, age 6 in Mumbai, I don't think that the animals get startled by their own reflections in the water. We know that birds do certainly get startled by their own reflections in windows, but I don't think that animals would do that in water. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong though. Good question. The little one there. A very small hippopotamus. Ooh, Darv, there's a giant kingfisher up top there. There we are. That's quite special. That's beautiful, everyone. A giant kingfisher is not something we see a lot. That's very special. I can hear the oohs and ahs. Cool, eh? That's really cool. That's a big bird, that. It's about the size of a kookaburra. It's about the only representative of the kingfisher family that we have over here that is the same size as a kookaburra. Doesn't make the same noise, but it's about that size. Very cool. And that is, of course, a fish-eating kingfisher. Kim, you say wow? Yes, indeed. Wow. And Janet, that's a new bird for you. Yeah, I think it's probably a new bird for quite a few people. It's not one we see often. Diana says she doesn't care because she's had one in her garden in Johannesburg. Apparently she didn't say she doesn't care. That was my wife. That's really cool to have that in your garden in Johannesburg. I've never had one of those in my garden in Johannesburg or anywhere else. Apparently some people have complimented my Australian accent. I suspect that they're not Australians. Katie, you just heard its call. It actually made it as it... Oh, see that? The one behind, there are two of them. The one behind just dove into the waters, and I don't know if it caught a feech, but maybe it did. Can you see it? It's behind that. I don't think we can see it. Let me just go forward slightly. There it goes. It's gone up into that bush there, up that dead tree. I'll play its call for you, Katie, but it was making it as it flew it up. This one made it as it flew up. Kingfisher. Giant kingfisher. Here's the call. Are you ready? I'm playing it very quietly into my microphone so that it doesn't have a heart attack and think it's being invaded. Not a very nice call. Beautiful sound of the hippos. There's another bird that I can hear. It's a black crake. There's a leopard sawing. Did you get the direction, Dov? Would you have said that? Yeah, me too. There's a leopard sawing behind this camp. I'm going to move. It sounded really quite close. So let's move around there, see if we don't get lucky. That would be nice. Not sure who would be sawing here. Might be one of the ladies, unless it's Mulwati. And by one of the ladies, I mean Sibui or I will stop if I get the black crake quickly, because they're not, well, I mean, they're not uncommon, but we don't see them often. That was very cool. Now, I'm not sure if I've still got comms here. They may have gone. Ah, yes, we've got comms still. Hold on tight, David. Phew, that was dangerous, wasn't it? Yo, we made it. Alright, figure out where I am, and we'll hopefully follow up with...
Sorry about that. I don't quite know what happened. I think James lost some signal there. So you're back with us. And I must apologise about not saying Happy Mother's Day to you all. I am so sorry. Natalie actually sent us all a message at ridiculous o'clock this morning. I think she's going to be the least favourite person in camp. Woke everybody up before their alarm to remind everyone that it's Mother's Day. So Natalie... Anyway, the reason I forget, it's not actually Mother's Day in the UK. Mother's Day in the UK is March. So I have already given my mother's... Natalie's laughing as I'm throwing her under the bus. Yes. People were not happy when that message went. But of course we have to get up anyway. Do not worry, Natalie. But I've already sent my mother flowers and said Happy Mother's Day in March. So to all the other mothers around the world, I think... It's an American day, actually, and they also celebrate it here in South Africa. Happy Mother's Day. And to grannies and aunties and sisters and all the other wonderful women. And it's very naughty of me to forget. I should have known. Natalie reminded us all. Okay, James is south, so I've decided I'm going to go north. I just sometimes wonder, we check quarantine first thing in the morning, and then we leave, because we've got other areas to check. But Davy and I were actually discussing the other day that we don't go back. I actually think it might sometimes be worth just going back to quarantine and seeing if anything is happening. So I'm going to quickly check quarantine, and then I'm going to go up to Buffelshoek Dam. There's lots of dogs on Buffelshoek. Doesn't mean that they're going to cross down, but still, I think it's worth just checking up there. Now that the sun is up and it's warm, the dogs, they've probably actually already had breakfast. And a giant kingfisher. I'm so jealous, James. I am so jealous. It's on my sort of bird wish list to see a giant. I haven't seen a malachite or a giant. I'm very jealous. I must go to Chitwa one day just to find it. Oh, everyone's saying Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, y'all. I hope James finds his leopard if he can hear it sawing. It's nothing more heartbreaking than hearing the animal that you really want to see, but you're not able to find it. BK and I actually had an elephant, but it was far ahead, so we raced ahead to find the elephant for you all, and it had went off into a block and we could not see it. Yes, the largest mammal that we get out here completely disappeared on us. That's rather frustrating, but north is where we want to be. I think the dogs that were heard... Oh, there's trash. Sorry, everyone. I cannot drive past trash. I just can't. I'm going to jump out and pick it up. BK, you do not need to film this if you do not want to, but I just can't. This is my good deed done for today. I was the same in the ocean when I worked in Maldives. I used to spend half of my snorkels and half of my dives collecting garbage. And it used to weigh you down so much that I was hardly able to swim sometimes because I had this huge, ginormous bag of all sorts of things. And we actually did an experiment one time. I am not a smoker. It was not my cigarette, but I got one. Just the butt part of a cigarette. and I got someone to drop it from a boat as I was under. So I was under with my camera filming, and I got someone to just drop a cigarette butt because I wanted to see what would happen. And immediately, fish can hear, they can sense pressure changes. As soon as you drop that cigarette butt, they know that something's landed in the water. And very often they get food this way. So all the tropical reef fish and fish that, well, are on people's dinner plates. Look at these impala, what are you guys doing? They're starting so high. All came to investigate what was dropped into the water, and they all proceeded to eat the cigarette, and they finished it. And of course the filter is made from plastic, and I have a wonderful, well, it's not wonderful, but I do have a video in great detail of all of these fish just eating the filter of a cigarette butt. And it's terribly sad because fish, well, a lot of us eat fish. And they say that the fish that we eat nowadays, which is delicious, I love fish, every single fish that is on our dinner plate will contain microplastics. So not only is plastic a huge problem in the world today, we all know that. We should all be trying to reduce our plastic consumption, but it's difficult because we consume items, and a lot of these items are wrapped in plastic. So the problem needs to come from further up. But they say that every single fish that we eat will have microplastics. So when plastics break down, we think it's disappeared, but plastic can never entirely disappear. It doesn't biodegrade. It breaks down into individual little components, but it's still there, and they call that microplastics, and it's a huge problem. So we eat what we put into the ocean, I'm afraid. Rory, you want to know where I was based in the Maldives? I was in the Maldives for 8 years. 8 years, goodness. And I was in Ba Atoll. Ba Atoll is the most famous atoll. Maldives is made up of atolls. It's the sort of geological structure. And every island has a coral reef around it. I was in Ba. I spent 3 years on Dusat Thani, Maldives. I don't know if you know it. It's a Thai resort. And then I spent almost 4 years on Amila Fushi, living the craziest of lives. But yes, I was in Ba Atoll, and that's where all the manta rays come. It's very famous. It's a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve for that reason. There's a small bay called Hanifaru Bay, and depending on the seasons, Maldives has quite drastic seasons, the northeast and the southwest. And as soon as the southwest comes in, the wind picks up, and it changes the currents, and all the currents go from the southwest up, and they drive in the plankton and zooplankton. They're both different. And the plankton gets trapped in this bay. It's a horseshoe shaped, so it becomes like a rich planktonic soup, and you can see it. You can see the plankton, and all of a sudden the manta rays flood in, and whale sharks in the hundreds. My most favourite memory was swimming with 176 manta rays. And how do I know that? Well, they count them. There's scientists there from the Manta Trust that actually count every manta, and they come in droves, and they cyclone feed. You should Google it. They call it vortex feeding or cyclone feeding, whichever one you want, where they go in a circle. It's like a frenzy, and they're all opening their big mouth. They've no teeth, and they're trying to suck in as much plankton as they can. And the gill rakers that they have them their side, the gills are sort of, their function is to trap all the plankton but release the water. So it's a constant pump in the water, out, in, out, and the gills are trapping all the plankton and then feeding it to the stomach. And it's just incredible. And when you actually, oh shush, I don't know where my radio is. And once you come out the water, you will actually see that you're covered in plankton yourself. And it's not very pleasant. You have it in your ear, your mouth, and all sorts of other places that I won't mention. Yes. Ooh. And plankton is, of course, microscopic, shrimps, crabs, jellies, very, very small animals. It's not a single organism. And zooplankton is very red in colour, and the manta rays just love it. They cannot get enough of it. So yes, it's a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve for that reason. A lot of people travel to the Maldives just to see it. And if you are on YouTube, which some of you will be because you're watching our show, Google it. Google Hanifaru Bay. And you'll be absolutely amazed at what you're about to see. Oh, Janet, you recently saw it and it was amazing. Isn't it just incredible, Janet? I have some videos I can share with you another time. But Maldives suffers badly now. The 2016 El Nino and El Niñas are natural phenomena. But I don't know why my car's not moving. I don't know what's happened. But yes, they are increasing in frequency and intensity because of human impacts. And the 2016 El Nino destroyed 90% of the Maldives coral. It's not the same anymore. And I was there to witness it all happen. And we knew it was going to happen. There was just nothing we could do to prevent it. And it was the highest temperatures ever recorded in the Maldives over a long period of time. And the coral just all died. So the Maldives is struggling. And plastic on top of that, I'm afraid. Ah, there you are. There is there, Beaks. I'm not sure if this angle is okay, but we do... You manage from here, Beaky? We have the water monitor lizard that's always here. I think this dead knobthorn is the pinnacle part of his territory. Oh. Shall I go forward for you? Okay, I think we can do better than this. So I try to be conscious with my plastics, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. I try to always travel with a metal straw. I try to always travel with my own carrier bags. Even just the smallest little effort can make a difference, but it needs to be a global effort. And big corporations and companies need to come on board too. Don't they, Mr. Monitor? Oh, I'd love to be a reptile. Sometimes I think I am. Sunbathing is one of my favourite things to do. Can you hear the grebes? You see the tongue? He's putting the tongue out. He's tasting the ear, tasting the chemicals around. I don't actually know if this is male or female. It's very difficult to determine. A lot of lizards and, well, reptiles, alligators, can store fat in their tails. And it's for emergency, especially during those colder winter months. They can utilize the fat stores that are in their tail in order to sustain and survive. Not all reptiles, but some can. We always find the monitor lizards here. Nancy, I saw that as well. You're asking about the green thing. I think it's just a leaf. Maybe he just wants to look a bit fancy, does he? He's bored of lockdown and he thought, oh, you know, I need to get these ladies on my side. I'm going to cover myself in leaves. I think there's another one further down his body as well. Andrea, I think you're right. I really don't know if it's male or female, but either way, very, very strong. Especially that tail. They have really good muscular coordination over their tail. So they can use their tail in fighting and really whip one another, and is fast. So if you can imagine getting whipped by that, I really don't think it would be pleasant. I think it would be very painful. Andrea, you're right. They can move really, really fast, and the tail acts as a rudder and a sort of powerful engine when in the water. But they also have really sharp claws, and their claws are designed to give them traction on land. Especially for the water monitors, they spend a lot of time on land but also in the water. So just like crocodiles, they need to sort of have evolved features to survive in both elements. That's a big tummy. Are you digesting there? Casey, good question. They're actually ferocious predators. They don't look it. I always think they look quite, well, gentle and pleasant. I used to have a bearded dragon, and Floyd, his name was. My brother named him after some boxer. I don't want to go there because I didn't agree with the name. But this monitor lizard reminds me of Floyd, so I think sometimes they're cuter than they probably are. So they're ferocious predators, and they are very famous for eating the crocodile eggs. So crocodiles will actually dig a hole in the ground, normally on the sort of wet, moist soil around a water body, and they will lay a clutch of eggs. Monitor lizards are actually known to sort of dig in and get the eggs. They eat snails, they eat millipedes, crabs, maybe not crabs in this area but in other areas, fish, especially water monitors, frogs, other lizards, other reptiles, small snakes, and even small mammals like mongoose and bushveld gerbils and rats. So they've got a huge sort of diverse diet, and they really will eat anything they can get their hands on. They're carnivores, so it's all animals that they eat. They definitely will not snack on a delicious leaf or flower or plant. They're carnivores. But I think James saw 2 yesterday, and it maybe looked like a little bit of a mating dance. So that was definitely interesting. So I'm going to continue bumbling north now. I think you've heard enough from me, and I believe andBeyond Ngala has a surprise for you.
Good morning, welcome back to Ngala. So we just thought we would do something special because it is such a special day today. Given the industry that we work in, we can't often be with our family and our friends for special occasions. Like today, for Mother's Day, we can't have or be with our mothers, and for all of you in lockdown, separated from your mothers, we thought what we did here, so we brought our mothers on safari with us. So on the left here, we've got Nikki's mom, who joined us. This is my mom here, who joined us.
This is my mom. Happy Mother's Day, Mommy. And then Eric and his mom, also with us.
Yeah, so just to our mothers.
I'll show mine now.
Yeah, there we go. So Marcel's going to bring his mom out shortly. Just to our mothers and to all the mothers out there, we just want to wish you all a very happy Mother's Day from the andBeyond Ngala team. And we hope you have a fabulous day, and thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do for us.
Thanks for the love and support, eh? Mommies?
Thanks, Sean. I'm also going to do my mid-morning fact, but first, this is my mom. This is one of the most inspiring people I know. She was diagnosed with ALS just over 2 years ago, and it definitely hasn't done anything to her spirit at all. So, yeah. And my fun fact for today is the most expensive gemstone in the world is the Pink Star diamond. It was sold at just over $71 million, and it's 59.6 carats, if I remember correctly. But the price per carat is actually lower than the previous record holder, which is the Oppenheimer Blue, which is a rectangular cut blue diamond of 14 carat, or just over 14 carat, that was sold for $50 million in 2016. Thanks.
Thank you for that fact, Marcel. But yes, so we followed up on those vultures. We couldn't find anything, but some good news is one of the tracking teams okay, so they've all requested a Mother's Day dance. So what we're going to do is andBeyond and Marcel, we have done a little bit to get the day started, so we think we'll suggest as Djuma do a nice Mother's Day dance together for us so they can feel involved. So James and Lauren, we look forward to your dance coming up shortly. In the meantime, we are going to go, I say the other tracking team found the Ross males, so both of them together, which is really exciting. Haven't seen them together in a long time, so we are going to head out there and see if we can find them again.
Leave me
Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we see if we can rush towards these other male lions, see if we can find them. We're going to send you across to James, see what he has in store.
We're sitting at the dam, but at this time at a different side of the dam, and rather hoping the leopard would call again, but she hasn't. And we've been looking around all over the place and haven't even come up with a track. So I don't know if we perhaps got the direction wrong or what happened. It's very difficult to pick direction when you've got an earpiece in. And as I pulled my earpiece out and David took his headphones off, she stopped calling. Anyway, there is a hippopotamus, another hippopotamus. If you listen very carefully, you might be able to hear Varro's eagle owl calling. Oh, oh. Apparently Ngala has made a tribute to their mothers, and it therefore falls upon me to do the same. We don't do Mother's Day in my family. Never have. We don't do Father's Day either. I'm not sure why we never have. My mother's never objected to it at all. It's not like all the other mothers have enjoyed the sort of lavish gifts of Mother's Day and she's just suffered without it. So we just don't do it. So I just, at age 43, I'm not sure that I'm going to start doing it now. David, do you want to do a tribute to your mother? You also don't?
I mean...
Yeah. And David feels the same as me. My wife says I'm going to have to start doing it. My dear, once you produce me an heir, then we'll talk about it. Until then, we are not having a conversation about Mother's Day. Now these guinea fowl just up ahead, we're doing a little bit of alarming, but their territorial calls sound very similar to alarm calls. Oh, look at them having a little drink. I'm wondering if that eagle owl isn't perhaps alarming. That's a leopard. Some little guineas coming to join their parents. There. Called again, but this time as Kirsten started shouting at me about Mother's Day. Let me move again. I think it came from behind us. Apparently a number of you are distressed that my family doesn't celebrate Mother's Day. We've had this discussion certainly for 4 years, everybody. Every year you're distressed that when I tell you that we don't do Mother's Day in my family. One of us is going to have to change. Either you're going to have to get used to it or I'm going to have to start celebrating Mother's Day. I think it came from there. It's just typical that as the radio goes, the leopard calls. Please don't be distressed on my mother's behalf. She's never expected it. Every day is Mother's Day in my family. Ha 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 ha. No, Kirsten, I'm not going to sing or dance by the end of this drive. I'm not sure what that has to do with mothers. Okay, so I think it's walking along this riverbed here that flows out of Chitwa Dam, possibly on the road. Maybe we'll catch it coming along here. The signal is not great when we go down through this dip, but let's see. Let's see. What is that white thing there, David? Is it a skull? There's a white thing down. It's an ellie skull, an old elephant skull. Okay, never mind. I thought this is where it was, somewhere here. Alright, let's go to Lauren while I figure out what's going on here.
Good luck, James, good luck. I just saw the most beautiful slender mongoose. And of course, being a slender mongoose, it ran away. I was hoping that if I just sat still for just a moment. We rarely get slenders on camera for you all. Oh, I got another vehicle. It's so rare to see a vehicle these days. Now, I thought I would add on what I was saying earlier because I'm not doing very well at finding animals. Now, plastic in the ocean is huge, and I mentioned microplastics. But what about macroplastic? What about plastics on a much larger scale? Now, there's a huge problem in the Indian Ocean, but it extends into other oceans. Hi, Andrew. How are you? Good.
Cold.
Yes, cold. We're live right now, but I'll radio you if we find anything. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Andrew. So yes, macroplastics in the form of huge, ginormous ghost nets. Now, I have mentioned this before, but of course, we always have new people jumping on board, and if I can educate, I will. And ghost nets are a recent phenomena where fishermen that use the old school nets, these blue-green plastic nets, it can be monofilament or multifilament, and once they get damaged or there's a hole or they don't really function as a net anymore, they discard them. And where do they discard them? Into the ocean. And they've very often got flotation devices or buoys, and that means they float, of course. So you find this massive mass, and I am talking massive. One time I found a net floating with 5 turtles entangled, because the turtles see this and they think, oh, I'm going to investigate. Turtles breathe air, so they need to spend time on the surface anyway. As soon as they investigate and move their flippers, they've got dew claws, they get completely trapped and tangled and caught. So it had 5 turtles on it, and it was so large. I'm quite strong in the water. It's the only time I'm strong, and I can normally pull heavy things, but we needed a boat. We needed a large supply boat to tie the net to drag it back to our camp. We had to drag it through the ocean. That's how large it was. It had 5 turtles in it. Oh, hello, Mr. Waterbuck. Are you just relaxing over there? Ah, good morning. Mighty fine, handsome waterbuck there. And yes, just to finish what I was saying, we managed to rescue all the turtles, but because the fishing net gets so tight around their flippers, many of them had missing flippers and required surgery. One's flipper was hanging on by a mere muscular strand. So it's very, very sad, and I must have rescued over about 40 turtles. Not all of them made it, I'm afraid, but ghost nets is a huge problem. You also find sharks in the nets, manta rays, all sorts of life that just get completely entangled and they just float at sea forever. I only found turtles, and the reason being that due to that monsoonal pattern that I was talking about, arribada is Spanish for arrival, happens in India. And it's the arrival of olive ridley turtles. Mass arrival, they all arrive on the beach at the one time to lay their eggs. And they all ended up getting caught in fishing nets that come from India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. So if you are interested in learning more about that, you can go to oliveridleyproject.org. I think oliveridleyproject.org. Yes, I'm pretty sure that's the website. And learn about it. It's just a huge problem in our global oceans today. I'm afraid there's lots of organizations working to counteract it, but it's a huge problem. It's going to require a lot more than just a few organizations. Isn't that right, Mr. Waterbuck? Oh, look at that magnificent physique. Waterbucks are just glorious, aren't they?
Yeah, just
And of course, they set up their territories around water, so we're almost at Buffelshoek Dam. It's just up ahead. So this waterbuck's territory is obviously Buffelshoek Dam. I think we're going to get a gap here to see him, Beaks. Someone sent me a message recently and they said, why do you never mention the love heart-shaped nose? So I am going to mention the love heart-shaped nose. Not only do they have a circle around their bottom or magnificent horns, they have a love heart-shaped nose. And off he goes. Seb? I didn't get that name cursed. Someone wants to know if he's alone. And yes, he appears to be. Oh, Fig. Sorry. Not Seb. Not even close. Fig. What a lovely name. Yes, he appears to be alone. He's most likely the dominant male in this area. He's probably set up his territory around the dam because they really don't stray too far from water when it comes to setting up territories. And I cannot see any ladies around. They may be around, but I definitely can't see any. My most fantastic sighting of a waterbuck was quite recently with Davy when a male waterbuck stood up to a pack of 22 dogs at Chitwa. He really stood his ground. They're large animals, great body mass, and of course equipped with weapons in the form of horns. Now this is a terrible view, I'm afraid. You can only see the outline of that gorgeous bum circle. So we are going to bumble forward to the dam. See if anything is happening at Buffelshoek Dam. James and I have been teasing each other recently that Buffelshoek Dam is really not delivering. It's a dam of nothing. But one of these days it's going to change. One day. It may not be today. There used to be a lot of elephant activity here in the sort of peak of summer. But that's really, really died down. I can see the hippos. I can smell the hippos. Martin, you're 8 years old. And you're asking, oh, we got a big bird in the tree. I think this may be a heron. James had a heron earlier today as well. And we've got the hippos. Too many animals. What shall we look at first, Beaks? Martin, you're asking, do hippos get water in their ears? Most likely, yes. Just as we do. It won't go into the inner ear, so it won't go right into the important part, into the canal, but they will get water in their ears. They're actually said to be truly amphibious, which means they have a two-phase lifestyle, water and land. They need the water to survive during the day, And they need the land, of course, when they come out in the evening time to forage. So for a mammal, this is quite unusual to be truly amphibious. Normally the word amphibian is for frogs or toads. But hippos really need the water for many reasons. One, they can save energy. They can't swim, you know. They stay in the water, but they can't swim. They just stay buoyed up with their big, big bodies. And normally their little feet are touching the ground, but it allows them to save energy. If hippos were to constantly move, it's going to take a lot of energy to move that big body of theirs. So that's why they tend to just stay buoyed up during the day. They're actually primarily nocturnal, so they do all of their movement, feeding and walking at nighttime. And secondly, they have such fine skin, very, very fine epidermis, said to be 7 times sort of more sensitive than other mammals, and they need to protect themselves from the sun, or their skin can dry out and it can start cracking and have a lot of damage. So by staying in the water, especially in summer during those really, really hot days, then they're actually protecting their skin. There's lots of reasons that you will see the hippos in the water. They're probably having fun too. Emma, you're from Singapore. I loved my time in Singapore. They have the best cafes and restaurants, don't they? That is a good question. I wonder what they do when they go underwater. Maybe they have a secret. Maybe they're up to something. Who knows what? But they can hold their breath for up to 6 minutes, the adults anyway. And most likely they're just having fun. I think they just love to go underwater, especially when it gets hot. They love to just put their head under and immerse themselves in the cold water. They're not feeding, they're not hunting. I don't really think they're doing very much, Emma. I think they're just being hippos and putting their head under the water, like we do in the bath or the swimming pools. They don't eat fish, they don't hunt in the dam. They come out at night time. Once that sun starts to go down, that's when they leave the dam, and that's when they start to feed on the vegetation nearby. They're herbivores. Shall we take a look at this bird, Beaky? I think it's a heron, but I'm slightly blinded by the sun. Yeah, I think it's a grey heron. Always found around water because they're keen fishermen. Yes, this is a grey heron. I can tell by the shape of the body. Very intelligent birds with a lot of patience. They're called ma'akana in Maldives. And what they do in Maldives is wait for the bait balls. So they wait for the little silver sides or the bait fish to come by in mass numbers in a ball. And they stand remarkably still, almost like a statue. So even if the fish at one point were aware the bird was there, they'll forget because he's standing so still. No movement, no ripple. And then, of course, once the moment is right, he'll bend over that large neck with his big beak and start fishing, plucking out all the bait fish one by one. It's remarkable to watch them. And they do a similar thing here. The longer they stand still, the fish will forget he's there. And they'll start swimming around his ankles. And that's a fatal move if you're a little fish. I can't actually see what that bird in the background is. It looks a bit dove-like. Most likely a ring-necked dove. Yeah, I think from the outline of the body it's definitely a dove of some sort, but it's really tricky to see from this far away. This is so relaxing, so beautiful. Let's give everyone a view of the dam beaks. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, we're going to scratch around the northeast corner, just in case there's any mobile doggies. But let's go back across to Mr. Henry himself for an update on that leopard.
We've had no luck here, I'm afraid. Haven't even found a track, nor has this animal called again. But it will almost certainly call when I switch off to listen and the radio kicks into life. Nothing here. We're just going to do another quick loop around towards the back of the water hole. Maybe she was down in the riverbed and hadn't popped out yet. Well, in theory you can, Lucy, tell whether it was a male or female, and David and I both thought, well, this is probably a female. David more so than me. I'm very reticent to make calls on it. A male should be slightly louder, probably slightly deeper, but it's very tricky. And a lot of the time when people say, male leopard calling, I think they've got a 50% chance of being correct. But this one did sound relatively soft. All right, so we've got a bit of luck at Ngala now, and so let's go back to them.
Right. Let's see if we can get in front.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure why it is that every time the camera sees the lion at Ngala in the last 2 days, it's decided to give up all the signal. We could make various snide comments about the cellular telephone providers in this country, who seem to be doing their best to make sure that no one has it. So, we're back on the same road we were on. I thought that the leopard was probably calling down here, but yeah, I could be wrong. I have had no tracks. And I haven't heard anything further either. Let's just stop and look at that impala, David, while we listen. It's relatively unusual that a leopard should be calling at this time of the day anyway. He's lonely. X-Ranger, I think you're probably correct. Says that he thinks that the impala, at least the leopards, probably have radios, and every time someone talks they start to call so that they can be left in peace. Beautiful calming sound there of a laughing dove. Reminds me of lazy Sunday afternoons at home. Butterfly, you say this impala needs a hug. I agree, Butterfly, he does look like he needs a hug. If he'd let me give him one, I would, but he won't, he'll run away. If I was to try and go and give that impala a manly hug, he'd run away. leopard has not called again. Maybe it will leap out of the bush onto the back of this miserable impala. And the impala will buck and survive and be happy for the rest of the day, even though it's got a little wound on its back. Lovely sounds. None of them leopard sawing. Let's continue. I think it was just a stick. Yes, it was just a stick. It was a great stick sighting. I'm not going to share it with you. I'm going to selfishly keep it to myself. Trina, you'll get differing opinions. I'm just going to go a little bit up here and then I'm going to turn around and come back down this way. You'll get differing opinions from different people. I believe that impala and most other prey species struggle to smell the cats. And the reason I think this is that I don't think the cats actually, I think the cats spend so much time cleaning themselves precisely so that they will mask their scent. And if you have a lion or a leopard walk past you that hasn't been sitting on a kill, you can't smell them. I certainly can't smell them, and I consider myself to have a relatively sensitive nose. And you can't smell them. If a hyena or a wild dog walks past you, they stink. And that makes perfect sense to me, because they are not stalking predators, they are coursing predators, and they don't really care if their prey sees them before they start to hunt. And so no, I don't think that impala, I'm sure that if a leopard or a lion got close to an impala and the wind was right, they'd pick it up, they'd smell them. But I don't believe that they can smell them very effectively. And then the second reason that I don't believe that is that you'll also hear people say that lions will hunt into the wind, they'll use the wind to hunt. And you'll read this in a lot of guidebooks, you'll read it in a lot of mammal texts, but if you go and interrogate the research that's been done, you'll really struggle to find any conclusive proof that lions actively use the wind to hunt. I've yet to find an actual peer-reviewed paper that says that. I mean, I haven't looked that, but I haven't managed to find anything. Alright, let's try and go back to Sean and his male lions. I'm afraid I think we are not going to find this leopard.
Can you still see the one on the ground there, hey? He's busy dying, I think. Okay, so we managed to find these two male lions, the Ross males. Now they've been very, very difficult. So now you can see in the screen there's one hiding very nicely in the grass. Now his brother just walked behind the back and went behind the bush, so we can't see him at all. Oh, there we go, look, he's lifting up his head. Okay, hopefully he looks our direction. So this is the other brother. This is not the one that we saw vocalizing, that we saw roaring with the young Birmingham male. This is the one that was missing. So I'm very interested to see this one get up, see him walk, see if he has
Sorry about that. Another crash cut to us. But we do have an African wood hippo. One of my favorite birds, actually. If you can rock a haircut like that, then hey, you're doing something right. An African hippo, I think it's hunting. Searching the ground because they do feed on insects. All sorts of insects are their absolute favorite. And where's the best place to check for insects? Well, on the ground. Their beak has evolved. It's very long, straight and curved. It's evolved that way to be able to not only pick up insects from the ground, but they love larvae. So they can actually put their really long, sharp beak into trees, into holes, into crevices, and pick up delicious larvae from inside. And worms. Oh, they love a good worm. I love seeing a busy bird. When they look like they're very, very busy. There's so much to do. Your diary's full. Many people are saying you love this bird. I love the call. And this bird is actually very, very far away. So I'll be able to play this call on my phone. As long as I put my phone up to the microphone. Here we go. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. The bird is far away, don't worry. The beak is on the ends of his lines there. Boop, boop, boop. Such a nice bird call. There we are on Cheetah Cutline. Apparently the buffalo crossed over on Cheetah Cutline last night from Torchwood into Djuma. And it's amazing how a herd of buffalo can just completely, disappear, if you like. I haven't seen any signs of buffalo. Of course, they were herd on the dam camp. I know that much. But I haven't seen any physical signs of them. And there's elephants near Twin Dam. So that's actually where I'm heading. Consulting detective. Very good question. Doing your detective work as normal. I'm not sure. I had Klalamba the other day when she took me home. She decided it was time for me to just go home. And she led me right into camp. And James had her very recently on the Northern Cutline. So I think she's becoming territorial now. And I think that her territory extends into Bufalsuk. We just don't quite know how far. We don't traverse Bufalsuk, I'm afraid, and we don't actually know how much of it she has. Now, she's 2.5, so she's very, very much, I think, territorial now. We see her sawing, we see her scent marking, we see her patrolling. She was sort of practicing at first, but I think she's really established herself now. Oh, boop, boop, boop. And I think she spends a lot of time in Bufalsuk, and I think she does come into Djuma. Don't think she's mating yet, but it's going to happen very, very soon. And I think she's just very elusive. She's like her mum. She's like Tandy. If they don't want to be seen, you won't see them, especially in summer. I mean, summer, I don't know if you can all see it. Tell me if you can. BK, I'll just give a sort of 180-degree view here. The vegetation is starting to recede slowly. It's very, very slow, but you can see leaves are falling. Vegetation's just not as thick, I think. It's still thick, but you can really start to see that winter's coming. Tell me if you agree with me or not. You're welcome to disagree, as always. But I think Klalamba's just not an easy cat to find. I think she's quite elusive. But I wish we could see her more, and I'm desperate to see her mating. I know that sounds really bizarre, consulting detective. That sounds very creepy, but I'm desperate to see her mating. 2020 has not been a great year for many all around the world, but I think it's going to be a good year for Klalamba. And Tandy seems to spend a lot of her time on Torchwood, which is this property here. And I think Kalamba's got a fair section of Djuma. I really do. I haven't seen any female leopardesses in Djuma in a long time. Shudulu's not popping in. Kuchava doesn't really pop in. Sabui doesn't come in now that she's got cubs. Is it all Kalambas? Surely not. My map project's almost finished. I'm very excited to share it with you. Yvonne and I have been working very hard on it. I think I need 2 more days, everyone, and this map will be with you. Okay, I'm going to head to the Twin Dams area, and as I do that, I'm going to send you back across to James, who's doing exactly what I'm doing.
We are certainly doing the same thing, driving around in home. Let's do this road. Kind of widening the circle now by quite a lot. My ears clearly have not performed like they should have today. Oh well. We'll do a little loop around here and then go back into the clearings, Chitwa, have a look at some general game. And then maybe start moving home. Tim, you want me to hug a tree because they're mother figures and they provide so much food and shelter to so many. All right, I'll hug a tree for you, Tim. Must it be a female tree? I suppose it should be. Or does it not matter? Probably doesn't matter. Maybe a hermaphroditic tree. Hermaphroditic tree. Find one. This is around where Gucheva had her kill for those many pleasant days last week. This week, actually. But I haven't seen any twacks since she left here. So, female tree. Okay, so we'll find a marula that has produced fruits. Have you ever produced fruits, dear? No, that's a male tree because it has no fruits underneath it. This tree is interesting. Can you see that it's packed up for the season? It's packed up entirely for the season. It's one of the earliest ones to do so, and it's now shedding its leaves. So I think maybe this one is giving me a sign that I should hug it. Now, I don't know, in fact, I'm pretty sure this is a male tree because I can't see any evidence of seeds underneath it. And also, there's so much grass around it that I'm pretty sure that had it had fruit, most of this area would have been flattened. But we shall hug it regardless. Thank you, Mr. Tree, for your shelter and shade. I hope that you have a good sleeping season and that you will wake in the springtime filled with joy and happiness. He says thanks. Sort of tucking him in for the winter, you know. Kev, you say I need a long break. Why do you say that? Do I look tired and exhausted? Or is it just because I'm insane? The insanity doesn't improve with time off. Heron says, now go call my mother. I talk to my mother every Sunday, so I will definitely call my mother today. Or Saturday, quite often on Saturday. Roller, lilac-breasted roller. Amazing, quite astounding. Beautiful bird. Ooh, and there's also a weaver behind. I think it's a village weaver. That's another sign of the coming winter season. The weavers have lost most of their colour. Yes, there's a whole flock. Oh, and there's a canary on top. That one that you've got there, Dave, is the it looked like a, yeah, that's a red-headed weaver, female, I think. Unless it's a village weaver female. No, I think it's a village weaver female. There's also a golden-breasted bunting just above the... It's flown off naturally. We're sitting just above the lilac-breasted roller. Why it is that the roller is so confiding and the rest are so hopeless, I don't know. Elizabeth, you said this is your favourite bird. Lots of people love this bird, Elizabeth. It is so magnificent, and what's so great about it is that it's relatively common and relatively confiding. Yeah, I think we had a red-headed weaver there. Without a red head, obviously, because we're going into the season of no colour. And you can hear a go-away bird and also a fork-tailed drongo in the background. Ta-da, ta-da. Ooh. David, do you see on the very top of that marula tree? I don't know if you're unsighted by this bush. That's him. I think that's a striped kingfisher. Unless it's a brown hooded. But I think it's too small to be a brown hooded. No, it's a brown hooded. He's very high up though. I think that's a brown hooded kingfisher. I can't really get a good view of it, but I think that's what it was. Well, no more leopard calling, and so we shall look at that go-away bird, and as the go-away bird goes away, we shall go away also from this position. It's a nice little birding session. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Anushka, have I ever done a bird call competition? What do you mean? Which bird call competition? Whatty? Yes, birding competition, but with whom? Oh, like the one we did during the lockdown. I suppose we could do another one. We are still in lockdown after all. Yeah, we could try and do that. I think I'll have to think about it though, and perhaps do it a little bit more carefully, because there were about 7,000 queries as to the rules. Oh, you mean the bird call competition like the one that I did with Paulie a little while back? Yeah, I know, that was a once-off, I think. It would be quite funny, though. We're coming to the entrance of Chitwa. And there is a man fixing the fence, who we shall greet fondly. Ah, hey! Willkommen on! And we'll have a look at this Ngala, who is wanting to fly away. That is why he's waiting here on the airstrip next to the hangar. She is waiting here on the airstrip next to the hangar. Quite a kind of jazzy way of moving her head, I feel. She's extremely confiding. She must have come from the camp. Here comes an impala racing across. Also doesn't want to be late. Am I on time? Yes. Yes, I suppose you are. Phew. My Uber was late. Oh, I didn't really care. There, they're going off to the lounge now. The Ngala really doesn't want anything to do with the impala. Probably because he's been so embarrassing for the last 3 weeks. I really feel she's exaggerating that neck movement. I mean, you see it generally in the antelope. They must walk like that because their necks are long. But, I mean, that does seem a little crazy. It's almost like she's got some kind of earphones in her ears. And she's listening to something. Getting into it, you know. I nearly used the term Walkman there. I mean, who has even heard of a Walkman these days? And who's even used the term Walkman for, I don't know, 25 years or something? I bet my wife doesn't even know what a Walkman is. She does. Phew. When I was a kid, all I wanted was a Walkman. So I could walk like that. Yeah, exactly. That's probably why I thought of a Walkman. You're all saying that Ngala was walking like an Egyptian. Well, that's the vintage of the Walkman, isn't it? I don't mean actual Egypt, I mean the song by the Bangleys. What was that?
Can you sing it?
Oh, can I sing it for us? No, it was sung by a woman with a lovely voice. Shall we go to Lauren driving or just quickly look at this brown snake eagly? Do you want to look at the snake eagly? There's the eagly. We'll just have a quick look at him and then we'll go back to Lauren. It's a very fine looking bird. I do find it so funny how angry they look. Yes, everything's taken on a rather Sunday-ish feel right now. It's feeling calm and pleasant and relaxed. Let's now go to Lauren, who's at water, and water is a good place to be relaxed too.
We just had a dragonfly for you that has flown off. Ah, it's back. BK is back. They do this. They somehow go back to the plant we were on. It's definitely there. I think it's there. Yes, there you go. Not the perfect. Oh, is that actually a dragonfly? It's not, is it? No, it's not. We're looking at some sort of beetle, I think. Wow, okay everyone, this is not a dragonfly. It's very, very red, which is why I thought it was a dragonfly. We're blinded by the sun here and it's a little bit further away. I'm completely wrong. I love it when I'm wrong. I don't actually know what this is, I'm afraid. I wonder if we can get any closer. Probably not, but I shall try. Jump out, BK. It does look like a bit... I don't know. I'm going to try and get closer without falling into the water. I'm sure many of you would find that highly amusing if I did. I think I've got too many layers on now. What are you? There's another one here, BK. It's definitely a beetle, but I can't see what type of beetle it is. But normally we come here and we see lots of damselflies and dragonflies. Not so much beetles. If anybody does... Oh, they're everywhere. They're actually everywhere. If anybody does know what species this is, please do let me know. #WildEarth. The last time I came here, I was able to pick up a tropical blue damselfly. And I think it was one of my favourite sightings to date. Let me just check in case I can see any more of these beetles over here. Nope. Oh wow, there's lots of things going on here. BK, can you see that spider that's just... It's moved, I scared it. Did you see that? Probably not. I think I terrified it. It's one of the fishing spiders of sorts. It's amazing. They're able to distribute the sort of body weight across the surface area and float on water. No luck with that beetle, I'm afraid. Someone will be able to identify it, I'm sure. I'm sure you will. Okay, we heard there was a huge elephant bull around Twin Dams. We're just going to check it out. He may be long gone by now, but still, it's worth a shout. BK and I were actually just talking about national animals. And the national animal of South Africa is the springbok. And we were talking about, I wonder who decides. I wonder who is that person that says, I am going to decide what this entire nation's animal is. And many of you may know this, many of you may not, but it's highly amusing either way. The national animal of Scotland is not the Highland cow, or the Highland coo, as we would say, it is in fact the unicorn. I don't really know what to say about that, to be honest with you all. It is my country, and I don't really have any sort of explanation for it. But I wonder what individual decided. I am going to decide Scotland, our national animal, is the unicorn. I would love to meet that person. Anyway, share with me, hashtag WildEarth. What is all of your country's national animal? I actually don't know many national animals, to be honest, once I realised that Scotland thought that theirs was the unicorn. The unknown explorer says that that insect was the stem borer. Unknown explorer. Alrighty, thank you, unknown explorer. I'm going to check that out. I've got my insect book with me, so when I'm not driving, I'm going to look that up. Thank you. But yes, send in your national animals from your country. Obviously, we know Scotland's, yay. We know South Africa's. I think that's all I know. I actually don't even know what England's is. Yes, I really don't, so share with me. Oh, Canada is the beaver. Fantastic, I love that. A beaver is your national animal. That's fantastic. Okay, Canada. I now know Canada. Oh, tiger for India, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, and that's a goodie. India, you ended up with a goodie. Whoever chose your national animal. Scotland's, however, whoever that was. A lion for England. Now, England, I'm not sure about that. How did England end up with the lion? Again, whoever chose that one. No. I could see South Africa or Kenya or any of these countries having a lion, but England. Dear, oh dear. I need to meet these people. Red kangaroo for Australia? That's a terrible Australian accent. I tried. Red kangaroo? Get out of the water, Skippy. Kirsten's saying that's worse than James. Oh, it must be really bad then. Skippy, get out of the water. Okay, red kangaroo, that also makes sense. A lot of sense. Whoever chose that one, it's good. I'm judging everyone. Blata, you're saying Norway's is a moose. I like that. Moose are magnificent animals. Okay, Norway, you have passed. Canada passed. India passed. Australia passed. James Hendry's asking me to do a Welsh accent. Sadly, I really can't. I watch Gavin and Stacey enough. I really can't. Welsh is hard. I can do Irish though. Top of the morning to you. 33 and a turd. I'm good at my Irish. Sadly, I'm sorry everyone. I'll work on my Welsh, I promise. I wonder if Ireland's has a leprechaun. Oh, Joy in Hong Kong. You're saying Hong Kong is the panda. That's a lovely one. Again, Hong Kong, you win. You pass. Hong Kong passes. I'm actually doing a little project on the Ethiopian wolf at the minute. And as you know, I went to see the Ethiopian wolf. And it was the most incredible experience with Davi I've ever had. And the Ethiopian wolf's population is, well, they're classified as 3 times rarer than the giant panda bear. They are literally the most endangered carnivore in the world, and the more you research about them, the more you realize their situation is not good. So I was actually talking about the panda bear last night. Ethiopian wolf, less than 500. They're actually estimating there's less than 450 individuals alive. Oh, US is a bison. That also makes a lot of sense. I'd love to see a bison. Okay, the US, you pass. I think it's just England and Scotland that failed, to be honest. Ireland and Wales, tell me, what is your national animal? I don't know. I am part of the United Kingdom. Ireland is a red deer. Again, that's lovely. Ireland, you win. I don't know. Wales, a dragon? I should know these things, but once you learn your own national animal is a unicorn, you just think, okay, no, this game is over. It is a dragon, is that right, Kirst? Here be the dragons. Afghanistan. Your national animal is a snow leopard. Wow. Okay, unicorn, snow leopard. Ooh. Okay, Afghanistan, you win. You're up there. You pass. Scotland, you're right at the bottom. My friends, you are right at the bottom of this pile. Wow. I'm going to keep researching this once I go off air as well. It's actually really fascinating. Each country's national animal and how it's supposed to represent the country. Each country should have a national bird and a national flower as well, but we're not going to go down that route. I'm not doing very well at finding animals today, so at least we can talk about them. What is the time? I'm just going to quickly check the time. Oh, we can race to Ribon. Ribon, my matriarch of my clan. Angola's is a sable. Beautiful. Beautiful. I've actually seen sables. They're at a game reserve on the route to Hoedspruit when we're driving here from Johannesburg. Magnificent beasts. Angola, you win. Sorry, BK. Okay, wow, that was a very interesting conversation. Thank you for all your inputs. Maybe James can actually do a Welsh accent. Let's go over to him.
I think we've established that I cannot do a Welsh accent. I'm working on it though, by listing Welsh rugby players. Here we have a very pleasant little group of kudu that was standing beautifully still until one of them got a slight fright and everyone panicked and ran off. Now there's an impala going to panic them all. That impala has got blood or muck coming out of his eye. I'm just going to go backwards a bit. We're not going to see him again, but we'll see the kudu. And the reason is, I suspect that he's been banging his head against his friend's head, or what was his friend's head. You'll often find impala this time of the year with gammy eyes and, you know, kind of weeping. It's a Coqui Franklin. What is wrong with you people? And by people I mean kudu. Why don't we all just have a panic attack for no reason? Tracy says they're afraid I'm going to do a Welsh accent. I wasn't going to do that. Thanks for nothing. Have a good day. Now they're walking very slowly across the road behind us. Hello, Kelly. I speak English, possibly. I speak isiZulu badly. I speak Xitsonga badly. I speak Afrikaans appallingly, and that's about it. And I can order croissant in French. I can also say I am a duck in French. Je suis un canard. I can also say you are a horse. Tu es un cheval. I can also say she is a fish. I think. Elle est une poisson. I may have got the gender mixed up. That's about it. I can also say, can I have a bottle of water in German? Kannst dich bitte eine Flasche Wasser haben? Something like that. And I don't speak any Welsh at all. How green is my valley? Robert Towley, Stephen Jones, Jamie Roberts, Jonathan Davies. What was that? A horse. Oh, often. I often have cause to call someone a horse, Jamie. I regularly look at somebody who's irritating me and I say, tu es un cheval. You are a horse. And they look at me confused. And I say, je veux pain au chocolat. Give me a pan of chocolat. And then they stare at me even more blankly. Sharon says I can speak Italian. No, Sharon, I cannot speak Italian. I learned to say, could I have some gelato when I went to Italy, but I've forgotten entirely how to use that. I spent a lot of time on that app, Duolingo, trying to learn some Italian, and it didn't work for me at all. Likewise, it didn't help my Swahili either. I was getting relatively okay at Swahili when I was in the Mara, but that disappears as soon as you leave Kenya. It's a beautiful language. Simple, relatively. It's lyrical, sounds lovely. Swahili sounds like a holiday. Let's go across to Sean and find out what he's doing. I'm not sure what random things he's going to find to talk about.
Okay, so we had to leave those lions. Unfortunately, a bit of a technical difficulty here on that area. But they were looking quite lazy, just lying down in the shade. So I might move a bit later, we can have a look. And then we're in some tracks. Hyena heading in action. This is where we saw the tree activity that we had a look at this morning. So I'm heading back in that direction just to have a look, see if we can find some more tracks, see where that hyena was heading. So chance that she's got a carcass there, hyena could smell that, he was heading there for that. We're going to go have a look, go and investigate, see what we can find. Hopefully she's got something up in a tree somewhere, because her track sort of cut off the road. There's some scat there, leopard dung, leopard area. We're going to go investigate so we can find. Is there an animal that I have not seen out in Ngala that others have? It's a question from Jamie. Yes, the people see aardvark, one of those. What are the things that? A few snakes that I haven't seen, that some of the other guys have seen. But now we say, you know, some of these rangers have been here for 25, 26 years. So they have seen and had time to see many, many, many things. The one thing they saw that I didn't was some of the rangers, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, I think, saw a leopard catch a cheetah, and then it ate a cheetah in a tree. So that's pretty unique. It's the first and only time I've heard of that happening here on Ngala. So that I haven't seen. What else? So there's a few like random things like that, Jamie, that I haven't seen. But on my list with that's how I really want. I haven't been able to see in my life. So they're quite. Yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to have a look here. This is where the leopard scatters, so I'm going to have a look over here. And in the meantime, we send you across to Lauren.
I have just arrived at Rib Rob's home. Hello, my dear. May I visit? You look very busy there, Ribbon. Doing what, well, you normally do. Hello. What did you get up to last night? I heard hyenas whooping on the dam cam. This is Ribbon, our matriarch. Matriarch of the Djuma clan. And normally, by her positioning her bottom in the hole like this, she could be nursing. Hopefully, that's what she's doing. And although we haven't got too much longer left of the drive, it would be so lovely to see the little cuppies. They're getting so remarkably big, they really are. I think in another 5 or 6 weeks, we're going to see them looking like little mini versions of their mama. They might not pop out. It's a sort of timing thing to whether these cubs are going to reveal themselves or not. I wonder if any country's national animal is the hyena. Crocuta, crocuta. Can you smell her, BK? Yes, it's delightful. Oh, thank you, Kirst. Lebanon has the striped hyena as the national anthem. So Ribbon is a spotted hyena. And of course, in the Hyenidae family, you have the brown, striped, and spotted, and the aardwolf. You have 4 different species. So Lebanon has the striped hyena. Fascinating. I would really, really love to see the striped hyena. If you've never seen one before, have a look. She looks so peaceful, doesn't she? Rosie, you're asking about mange, which is a really, really good topic. And would hyenas get mange? Mange is actually said to affect most mammals, actually. And hyenas are very lucky in that they seem to be quite resistant to disease. But in terms of external parasites, especially ticks, they're definitely not immune to that. Ticks can sort of latch on to anything. There's specialized ticks that will also latch on to reptiles. There's not a lot of animals that can escape them, really. But when it comes to mange, it's the official name for mange is scarcoptic mange. And it's a really highly contagious skin disease. So it's spread by parasitic mites, which are arachnids, same as ticks. Oh, got another hyena over there. I didn't see you at first. Hello. I wonder if it's Intima. I can't see. So yes, mites are in the same sort of group as ticks. They're both arachnids, 8 legs. This hyena's just woke up. Can you see it, BK? Right through there. Right through the tree, which is wonderful. Ah, look at that. Fantastic beaks. So no, we can't see this hyena. So let's go back to Rib Rob. Oh, wait. I think it might be Intima. Everyone's starting to use this den as a communal den now. So sorry, going back to the mange. It's highly contagious, so it can spread from one individual to the other very, very quickly. And it's actually been reported across 10 orders, 27 families, and 104 different species. I've got a very good memory for numbers. Nothing else, by the way, but numbers I remember. I can remember childhood friends and boyfriends' phone numbers from absolute moons ago, which is really, really strange. And basically, the mite embeds themselves in the skin of the animal. So mammals is very, very easy. Although it is found across 10 different orders, it's really, really easy for mites and ticks to quest and jump onto mammal's skin. Oh, we're approaching cautiously. Good morning. No, I don't think this is Djuma, and they have pillow face. Ribbon didn't move a muscle. Ribbon knows who she can trust and who she can't trust. She knows if it's a Djuma clanner or not, and she knows I can trust this approaching hyena, or I can't. So I've actually never seen a hyena with mange, but it's definitely possible for them to get it, absolutely. And mange can end up being fatal, but it's not the mites themselves that kill the animal. It's actually, they bury into the skin and they end up producing lesions, and these lesions can then become infected, and it's the infection that can actually spread and kill the animal. So the infected individual normally scratches and scratches and scratches away at the skin, which of course leads to more problems, especially hair loss. So when you see an individual, let's just say a lion, a Ngala male for example, who had mange, his hair loss is not from the mites themselves, it's actually from him scratching constantly because of the mites, which then leads to hair loss. And over time, the animal can become severely dehydrated. Hypothermia is a possibility, and that's essentially what leads to death. So mange doesn't directly contribute to death, it just completely weakens the animal. I think the equivalent would be scabies in humans. Humans can get scabies, and it's caused by, I think, the same mite. So yes, hyenas can get mange, but I've actually never seen it. They're very resilient and robust animals, hyenas. Oh my goodness. Cursed, you may need to repeat that name one more time. Khaki the Crater. I know I got that wrong, but I think I'm going to go with that. I don't believe hyenas are found anywhere outside of Africa in the modern day, in the present day. But when you look at the history of hyenas, it's very interesting. They look bizarre, and I think they were present in Europe back in the day. Not anymore, I'm afraid, but they used to be present in Europe, and they probably spread from Africa. Hyenidae, the family, originated in Africa and spread on since then. But I really don't believe, in the wild, I'm talking about the wild of course, you won't find hyenas outside of Africa. I think spotted hyenas at one point were found in Asia. Umka, you're saying there's hyenas in India? Aha, yes, that would make sense. I wonder what species. Striped hyenas. You're saying striped hyenas are found in India. Okay. I'm really not entirely sure, but I know the family originated from Africa. Striped hyenas in India. I do have a photo on my phone somewhere of a very, very old hyena that's extinct. But I'm struggling to find it. I will find this for you. The next time you come back to me, I will have this very bizarre looking hyena for you. But as I watch Ribbon sleep, we are going to send you back across to James.
I couldn't begin to understand what was going on in that last link. It was lost somewhere in translation between my wife and Lauren. Anyway, I'm sure it was pithy and amusing, but I'm afraid I can't add to it, you know what I mean. Looking for a photo to show us. Definitely didn't get that. My dear, enunciate. Use your lips. I've now been told to shut up, which is probably fair enough. Here is a magnificent body of water in which there is very little going on. I'm not sure what else to say about it. There does appear to be a grey-headed sparrow calling here. It's in that very thick Ziziphus bush. I'll see if I can see it. Wait, let me go back a bit. You might be really lucky and see a grey-headed sparrow, which I'm sure will fill everyone with enormous joy. There it is. Hurrah! Gosh, look at that, hey? The Amazon has the hyacinth macaw, and we have the grey-headed sparrow. Now, I wonder if I haven't spotted the grey-headed sparrow's home. You'll often find them on trees like this, and that is because they nest in tree holes. And if you look to the right-hand side there, they see the longest, most scraggly. Yes, that's it. I think around the front of that one. One on the right, furthest to the right. Go up a bit from there. Yes, that's it. That's the one. Hello, Rebecca. You say you have sparrows like crazy at your lake house. Crazy sparrows at your lake house. Well, I mean, I hope they're not dangerous crazy sparrows, but I think those sparrows live up there in that hole there. I don't think they're crazy. I think they're pretty average. Unlikely to be committed soon. Unlikely for the people in white coats to pitch up, the sparrows in white coats to pitch up and put them in a straitjacket. Carry them off to a facility where they can do no harm to themselves or anyone else. Good. That was a nice, poignant silence, I feel. We can move on to the next topic now. Oh, nasty bump, that one. Right, I will now find some more biology of great interest to everybody. This question comes from First Class magazine in Sweden. I don't know if you're a person or if you're actually an entity called First Class magazine. If you are the latter, welcome. I think you're in the right place. We're a first-class bunch of people. If you're an individual, hello, you're equally as welcome. The black leopard is not common. It's not common anywhere. It's most often found in India, in the jungles. It can be found in the forested environments of Central Africa, but I got a lovely email from somebody the other day who was telling me about a excuse me, black leopard raised in captivity in South Africa, and he lives down in Namibia, at least in Knysna, which is a kind of forested area of South Africa. I don't know his backstory or why he was raised in captivity or anything like that, but the point of this guy writing to me was just to say, they say that, you know, black leopards are supposed to be better adapted to forest environments, and therefore he reckoned that they should be finding them around Knysna, but all of the camera traps that they have there show up normal, what he called yellow leopards. And so even in forests, the normal yellow coloration is perfectly usable. You would expect to find black leopards in areas where there are more forested environments, but they're not common anywhere. And there was apparently one that lived up near Lydenburg, or Mashingshing as it's now called, it's called Mashingshing, near Mashingshing in South Africa, and there are not many forests around there, but I suppose it lived in the crags of the mountains around there, but they're not common at all. So I've never seen a black leopard, and certainly I wouldn't expect to find one here. If I did see one here, I would probably think that somebody had left their Doberman out. Prashant says the black leopard is the national animal of Gabon, and that's where you'd expect to find them, you know, in those forests, rainforests. But I doubt they're common. Thank you, First Class Magazine in Sweden. All right, we're now going to go back to Ribbon, because although she is fast asleep and doing absolutely nothing, she is by far the most exciting animal we have on screen at the moment.
Well, yes, James, that's true. You know how many hours I spend watching Ribbon sleep? It's a lot. It's wonderful. And thank you for the ID. It was Comet, that other hyena. I've not seen Comet in a while, actually, one of the males, which is why he was cautious. Immediately you could tell that it wasn't Intima, it wasn't someone that Ribbon's very close with. It was a male who's happy to be around the communal den, but also a little bit cautious. You know, that's the matriarch there. She's big. She can be nasty, and she's a mama. Don't mess. Now, I've been doing some research. I didn't know all of this, but there was, long ago, hyenas in Europe. Eurasia, shall we say. Let's say Eurasia and North America. So all you viewers from the US, apparently you used to have hyenas roaming about your back garden. Yes. Back in the day, probably when back gardens didn't actually exist. But they were called Chasma porthites. I hope I'm saying that. And they were commonly known as the running or hunting hyena. And they were distributed between Eurasia, North America, and Africa, living from 4.9 million years ago to 780,000 years ago. Yes. Bizarre looking animals. I'm going to show you in just a moment what they look like. I saved some images directly from the internet. And of course, they're just illustrations of what they look like. Beaks, are you ready? So it almost looks like Ribbon, but larger, much taller, stripier, and as well, bizarre. This is one of the illustrations from the Chinternet. This old hyena that used to roam. Yes, and another one. Got another one for you. Again, these are just illustrations. It's almost like talking about dinosaurs. And here we have a diagram of what it used to look like. Interesting. So thank you for all your input into that conversation. I think Middle East, Asia, India, and Africa, hyenas are restricted to now. Oh, is that a head? Is that a head, BK? Or is that a tail? I'm pretty sure that was a head. It's a head. Good morning, guys. Is your mummy's bottom causing you to struggle there? Oh. Hello? Oh. Mummy's been so difficult, you might need to climb on top of her. Ribbon, I think you actually need to let your cubs out. This is cub number 1. I'm recognizing them now. Cub number 2 that we've just very casually named them. Kissies. Oh yeah, this is Happy Mother's Day. This is the perfect ending. Ah, 2. Wishing Mom Happy Mom's Day. I'm going to be extra annoying to Mom today. It looks like they're just waking up. I think we're going for our stick. Are we going to go straight to our stick? Our favorite stick in the whole world. Yes, I think we are. Oh, we are. Oh. Nothing is better than that stick. And we're going to try and fake anal paste, yes. I'm learning these little ones' routine. And then we're going to annoy Mom some more. Oh, kissies. Fig normally around 3 months old. So we've got a little bit to go. The spots are already there, believe it or not. It's just the rest of the hair will lighten and the spots will remain dark. And then you'll visibly be able to see their pattern, which is wonderful. Because then we'll really be able to identify them. Right now, I'm afraid it's just too soon. We can say Cub 1 and Cub 2 just to try and keep track of them. Many of you are suggesting bow and tie, and I love it. I love it. One can be bow, one can be tie. Unofficially, of course. But we're just trying to establish Cub 1 and Cub 2 at this stage because there's another vehicle coming. It just helps us keep track of seeing them and also who's got distinguishing markings, who's a dominant one, who's a submissive one, who's a boy, who's a girl. But we've got a little bit more investigating to do before we can figure that out. I love how comfortable they are around vehicles. It's actually perfect. There's now 2 vehicles in this sighting, including ourselves. And it's just ideal that they're habituated this way. Why? Because they won't fear us, and they don't have to fear a vehicle in this game reserve. There's a fence going around, not Djuma, but the entire northern sector of the Sabi Sands, which is huge. And they don't have to fear vehicles, and they shouldn't. You don't want an animal to fear. And I don't think these cubs are scared of us at all. Many of you sent screenshots and I'm so grateful for them. I do personally think that one is a boy. But I can't confirm at this stage, but I definitely think we've got one little boy there. Just enjoying watching these little cubbies on Mother's Day. And even if it's not Mother's Day where you are, I'm sure you're still enjoying. Andrea, you are saying cuteness overload. I completely agree. My heart melts every single time. But they are starting to look like little hyenas. They really are. Facially. Not so much little black bears anymore, but they're looking like little mini ribbons. And unfortunately, it's came to that time of the day, or the morning at least, where we have to say goodbye. So from Ribbon and her 2 ones, all of us here at Djuma, and of course andBeyond and Ngala, thank you so much for everything, your support, your comments and questions. We shall see you this afternoon.